Hello, everyone. On behalf of Fimple, it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's special edition of our Fimple Connects webinar series commemorating International Women's Day, celebrated globally on the 8th of March. Today, we gather virtually to shed light on an important aspect of the industry of financial technology, or Fintech, related to the empowerment of women. The fintech sector is renowned for its groundbreaking innovations, disruptive technologies, and transformative potential. Today, we would like to consider whether gender disparities exist within the industry. To discuss this topic, I have invited three distinguished women, prominent figures in their fintech companies, which are global partners of Fimple. Together, they will share their insights, experiences, and strategies for empowering women in fintech, breaking barriers, and driving innovation forward. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Marina Vandeberg. I'm the Chief International Development Officer at Fimple, the producer of core banking software. Let me introduce to you our speakers, Raki Oja Maharaj, Geraldine O'Keefe, and Ariana Lombardo. Rahi is the IT CEO at Exate, which is a UK headquartered company providing a distributed software platform for enforcing data privacy, data protection, and dynamic attribute-based access control by embedding centralized controls in common data ingestion and distribution points. Hello, Rahi.
Hi, Marina. Thank you for having me.
Yes, nice to see you at our webinar today. Geraldine is the co-founder and chief innovation officer of Software Group. Software Group is a global technology company specialized in digitalization and integration solutions for financial service providers. Geraldine is Irish but lives in Kenya. Hello, Geraldine.
Good morning, everyone.
Ariana is the Business Development Director for Southern Europe, Latin America, and Africa, responsible for credit and mobility solutions at CRIF, an acronym for Center for Financial Risk. It is a global company based in Italy, specializing in credit and business information systems, analytics, outsourcing, and processing services, as well as advanced digital solutions for customer onboarding, risk assessment, business development, and open banking. Hello, Ariana.
Hello, Marina. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure being here.
Nice to see you here. We hope that today, through our engaging discussion and actionable advice, we will be able to inspire and equip our audience with the knowledge and tools necessary to effect positive change within the fintech landscape. By championing diversity, fostering inclusivity, and promoting gender equality, we can unlock the full potential of fintech and create a more equitable future for all. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our webinar on empowering women in fintech, breaking barriers, driving innovation. Let's embark on this journey of exploration and empowerment connected to the International Women's Day. I would like to start with Raki. Could you please share with us a bit about your journey in the fintech industry and what inspired you to pursue a career in this field? You moved to Exate from a big prominent bank, HSBC. What influence did you have to make such a change? And are you satisfied with your position now?
Wow, great question. Yes, as you mentioned, I was working with HSBC, it was a big bank. But in a bigger bank, it's really, really difficult to make significant changes. And I was really, really inspired by other people that are making changes, trying to help these big institutions make better decisions. I worked in the digital transformation, and regulation and access to data was a bit of a barrier for us to go forward. And after 18 months of not being able to get data, not being able to implement some of the regulations, it was a little bit frustrating. And then we were going out to market trying to find this product for data privacy, data protection, trying just to get access to data, and we were unable to do that. So my co-founders went and built something themselves, thinking we're going to change the world, we're going to make a difference, we're going to be able to use data and keep people safe. And that really inspired me because, I want to keep my data safe. I don't want it traveling everywhere without any protection. So, That's why I made that choice to change. I want to make a difference, and I think it helps everyone in the long run, and especially now in the data protection.
Okay, I think I worked in press. I worked myself in PricewaterhouseCoopers. It's a huge organization, and I know the feeling of being a small piece in a big machine, so that you cannot impact on a big picture. And it's I can understand your desire and your feelings. Okay, Geraldine, you are working over 15 years for Software Group based in Africa, although you are Irish. You started the company in Kenya together with a partner, and now it is an international company with 9 offices in different countries, performing a wide range of projects. Could you elaborate on your experience in fintech, and do you think if being a woman has impacted your journey, or the gender did not have any influence on your choices and perception of you by the others?
Thanks, Marina. I think it's always fun to look back and realize that it was a series of small decisions that led to some big realities coming up. So I think I trace my sort of current role back to a decision to go on a holiday about 20 years ago. And I left London, also leaving a big corporate, and I had booked to go to Uganda for a few weeks to visit a friend. And I literally have never left East Africa since then. And that's over 20 years ago. And I was bitten by a bug, which was the financial inclusion bug, and bringing technology into emerging markets to expand access to underserved and unserved communities. So it was, I went again from that very big corporate environment with all the support to actually ending up being an IT manager of a microfinance institution that was going through a digitalization journey. And it was the best experience that I could ever have wanted, because it gave me hands-on experience. I literally was driving around the country with computers, teaching people how to use computers, installing electricity, and then doing the data conversion, and then doing all the software on top of it, which is then the area that I stayed working in, which is the software for financial service providers. And while microfinance, the big part of that, that's obviously now extended into banks, into telcos, post office, whoever is in the financial services game these days. It's obviously evolved a lot over time. So I can't say I set out with that vision in mind. I think it's been a series of experiences and exposures that led me, and as I said, a lot of passion and determination to make some of these projects work in quite difficult scenarios. And then starting Software Group, we really started, and for you who do know Kenya is one of the pioneering markets when it comes to mobile money. And when we were first starting Software Group, we realized that the mobile money evolutions that were just starting to emerge at that point really could be game changers for the financial inclusion market. And that's the positioning that we wanted to be in. Now, in terms of my role as a woman, and I think that it is worth, I started in Uganda, and Uganda, the institution I was working in, had about 95% of their clients were women. So they're largely targeting women. And a lot of the management of the organization was also female. And there was a lot of incredibly hardworking. And that's always what really amazed me, was that just how much people were juggling so many different things. So it was very inspiring in that regard. Of course, traveling to some of the far-flung countries that I've had the privilege to work in, I get different responses at times, and sometimes people are a little bit taken aback of, okay, but you're a woman, what are you doing advising me on my IT strategy? But I found that, very quickly you can establish credibility and sort of get beyond that. Now, perhaps being a foreigner in some of these countries, maybe there are times where I sort of felt I was treated as an honorary man because I was a foreigner. But, that doesn't always apply. So different experiences in different places, but I certainly can't say that I've ever felt the ceiling above me. And I think that it's really just been a case of taking the inspiration and applying it and connecting with people and finding, overlapping passions and goals, and working together on those.
Okay, great story. It's amazing how one holiday can change your life and the whole future. And I can recognize also like starting in a new small organization, everybody has to do everything actually, because you are so not many people, and you have to organize everything from the start. I can very relate to your journey as well in that respect. Great story. Okay, Ariana, you work now for 24 years in Kyiv. You're leading European, Middle Eastern, and African markets in your company. Have you envisaged any challenges connected to your development in the company, being female? Please tell us about your journey.
Thank you, Marina. Yes, I faced several challenges, but first of all, with myself. So learning to believe more in myself and in my abilities in a professional and also social context where it seems like you are never enough. So I don't know if this depends on the fact that I am a woman, but I've always studied a lot. I've often questioned myself, and I've always tried to understand things beyond appearances. So, furthermore, I have a humanistic background, which is something strange, sounds a bit strange in our professional context. So, especially when I started working at CRIF at a very young age, I thought I had to fill these gaps. And so I attended the 2 years master in international marketing while working. So, for example, this was a great challenge for me, being able to study and to work at the same time. So I really believe that what brought me to where I am now is really this strong aptitude to study, for studying and also from learning from others. So, for example, collaboration with other colleagues, with other people, with partners. For me, it's always an enriching experience, and this goes really beyond the prejudice and judgments. So, of course, when 5 years ago, after many years of working as account manager in the Italian market, I've been asked to move to the international markets, which was, of course, my dream, and take a role of higher responsibility. I evaluated the impacts of this choice on my family life. And so I have to say that it's very important also to be supported also. I see we are all alive and kicking. So, and I think with determination, with courage and love, you can really overcome many challenges.
Yes, determination, courage, education are very important indeed. I absolutely agree with you, Ariana. Breaking barriers is essential for empowering women in fintech. And Raki, what barriers have you personally encountered in your career, and how did you overcome them?
A bit like Ariana, you and Geraldine, you get judged on being a woman, like when you're telling some people that this is your advice. I mean, I've studied technology and I've done business, so trying to combine them both. You do get the odd occasion where someone will say to you that, how do you know? And they want it backed up with, I don't know how to say it without sounding rude, but they want it backed up by one of their peers rather than what I'm saying. But our co-founder in X8, is a woman, and on top, so she knows better than some of the men, I suppose, if that's what the angle that you're going. But the barriers that we had is that maybe trust. I think that because they don't know our background, they don't know the passion, so trust can be a barrier. But on the flip side, we've been supported by some of the most amazing people in our journey. We're at HSBC, we were heading up the whole digital transformation department. We got support from high up, low down. So the barriers are there, but like Ariane said, once you show that you know what you're talking about and moving forward and have the company's best interest at heart, people slowly start jumping on the train and want to support you and, actually quite enjoy a different viewpoint. Yeah, so I mean, the barriers were there. We overcome them by, I guess, educating people about what we know, what we think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's of course, knowledge, experience, and trust are very important. And eventually people see through your capabilities, your capacities, they start to trust you, and that's very important. And of course, being a woman, it's maybe more difficult, but being a man is also probably that everybody faces the same challenges. We maybe have a little bit more challenges, but you have to push further and further, and you have to prove that you are capable and you can do it, and then you will be able to do it.
Absolutely.
Yes, okay. Innovation is at the heart of fintech. Geraldine, you are the Chief Innovation Officer, driving the innovation in your company. How do you believe diversity and inclusion, particularly with regard to women, contribute to driving innovation in the fintech sector?
Yeah, I always think it's a tough label sometimes to live up to be Chief Innovation Officer. And sometimes I think while sometimes people maybe have an expectation that you're going to come up with some absolute, cutting edge, something nobody else has ever thought of. In my experience, and certainly I've seen this with a lot of my colleagues, sometimes it's the more simple problems where you can think of a solution. And it's not technology for technology's sake. It's actually getting to the heart of somebody's challenge and the problem that they're trying to solve. And sometimes I think it's the social skills, the interpersonal skills that some of my female colleagues have that are better able to get to the root of the problems. And therein lies the foundation for coming up with an appropriate solution. And therein comes the innovation. And I don't want to disregard any of my fantastic male colleagues, but as I said, I think sometimes it's not getting too carried away with the overly complex and the technical solutions and new tech and big data or whichever it may be, but actually just taking a step backwards and saying, okay, but why is that person's job harder than it needs to be? And what can I think of to make their job better? So I think it's really bringing in the personal touch and engaging with people, making those relationships, and obviously also bringing to play the experience, the technology, and the exposure, and sort of knowing who to call on to help you kind of put together a full solution or an innovation that you may have identified in the market.
Right. And maybe as a woman, you have a little bit other view on the situation of other people, maybe to bring some softness or some additional perception. And together we can achieve much more if we combine forces of different genders, different nationalities, different type of people. I think it is important to have to include different people in your team. And I think the view of a woman on innovation process might help to promote the process.
Yes,
and yeah, I think it's. I agree that it is a very difficult, not straightforward position, Chief Innovation Officer, but it is a very challenging and interesting also position, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ariana, women are often underrepresented. Yeah. No,
go ahead.
It's okay.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, it's the satisfaction that I think comes out of solving those problems. And as I said, they don't need to be huge, big. Of course, there are big solutions that we come up with, but sometimes it's the smallest ones that are the most satisfying because you could get to the bottom of the issue. issue. So fully agree.
I agree with you as well. Okay, very interesting. I wanted to ask Arianna about the leadership roles within the fintech companies. Often women are underrepresented in the leadership roles. And what about your company, Arianna? And what strategies or initiatives do you think can help increase female representation in leadership positions?
Yeah, I have to say that in brief, so this has never been true. So on the contrary, really, female representation, even in very important roles, has always been very, very high. Also, when I started, I was impressed by this fact. So nevertheless, I often find myself like the in a situation where I'm the sole woman together with in a meeting with many colleagues. But for me, really now, this is no more something which makes me feel different. On the contrary, I think I can bring an important contribute, also because the way also of approaching things of a woman can be different, can be more creative, can be more dynamic. So I think my contribute is always important and highly appreciated. So in terms of initiatives to increase women in leadership roles, there are really many. So in brief, there is really a commitment, a strong commitment in promoting equal opportunities because every person is unique. So the idea is really to make sure that the uniqueness of each person, of each colleague, can really be enhanced in a professional context. There are many KPIs also to make sure also that this balance is respected. I think that so it's also a matter of feeling beyond these quantitative measurements. It's also a matter of feeling when you found yourself in an environment, you immediately feel something around the fact that you are appreciated or not, that your contribution is considered relevant or not relevant because you are a woman. So really, I think that also learn about this feeling is very much important. However, I work also in international context, so in countries like Africa, Morocco, the Nordics, and it's nice also to see how. So also in other countries, women starts to be relevant everywhere. In terms of initiatives, I think that this kind of initiative, for example, is a very important initiative. So maintain an open dialogue between women to exchange about what may be a concern, to see in which way some issues can be solved together or in a specific situation. So I think not feel alone, but so try to really connect women. Exchanging experiences, vision is very much important. So this kind of initiatives should be always
I agree with you.
Encouraged.
I agree with you, and I'm very glad to hear that there was a lot of representation on top management level of women in your company. And to be honest, I must say, in Fimple, I was also surprised. There are quite a few women working in our company, and I am coming to Fintech, to Fimple, from more production-oriented, I was leading a company in software design, but more like for automotive or for mass production enterprises. And it was really a male's world. For me, it was quite challenging sometimes And when I moved to Fimple, I was pleased to see much more women working in the company, in the area. So, and I'm very glad to hear that in Krift is the same situation, and that also women are working on a leadership position. And actually, all of us here today also is a good representation and good fact that indeed women are on the leadership positions. All right. Yeah, Raki, collaboration between different stakeholders is essential for driving change. How can governments, businesses, and society work together to create more opportunities for women in fintech? What do you think?
I mean, I think like some of the stuff that you're doing, getting people to understand, what we're doing. I mean, most people go for the larger organizations because it's easier, they have better marketing, etc. But governments, I am seeing a change in governments because we do get approached about what we do. And, they are looking at smaller companies and they are looking at how to expand on these initiatives. There's a lot of government funding involved as well if you partner with the right companies. So I think that we're definitely going in the right direction. I don't know how we could grow it more. I think, again, education, things like this, going out there, talking about what you're doing, the way forward. But yeah, so I feel like that we're definitely taking a step in the right direction. Yeah.
Okay, very good. What I wanted to discuss more, Geraldine, funding is a crucial for startups in fintech. Have you faced challenges in securing funding as a woman in fintech? And what advice would you give to other female entrepreneurs in this regard?
Sorry. So we haven't, and actually we started off our journey with sort of self-funding, and we continued in that way for 7 years. It wasn't something that landed entirely on my remit to handle the funding. So I don't have the ins and outs of the raise processes that happened thereafter, but certainly, I think that, with the interest not only on the growth of fintech and whether it's financial inclusion or emerging market growth and potential, there was interested parties around, and whether it was EIB or private funds, we managed to pull in the support that we needed at that point in time. I think certainly from my observations and again, I think Kenya is a great example where, they call it the Silicon Savannah, and, the hope was that there would be all these new fintechs coming out of Kenya. It is a great innovation hub, but perhaps there haven't been as many wildly successful cases as maybe the investors anticipated in the early days. So it's been quite interesting to watch that process of early stage investors coming in and seeing sort of who really has the sort of strength to go the line with them, to hold out for their own and sort of defend their own position with respect to their startups and their initiatives. And sometimes that's where I still feel like there's too many men in that world, at least on the fintech side. I see them on the fundraising and the VCs and the investment funds. I see a lot of great and fantastic leaders there with equal gender. But on the startup side, I still I was trying to think of actually one good example. And I'm sure I'll have a barrage of people reminding me of other things tomorrow, but I couldn't think of one off the top of my head. And I think that says something. So, I think that the challenge of fundraising as a woman in a man's market or a male-dominated marketplace can be quite daunting, unless, of course, they come to it with the experience that and the skills that of how to engage. But certainly, if it was me on my own, I know I would find it very daunting. And certainly, I do think that it's been invaluable to me that my co-founder, and it doesn't matter to me what it happens to be a man, but it doesn't really matter about the gender. What matters to me is we each have our own strengths and we play to each other's strengths. So I know that there are some things that he happens to be particularly good about in terms of strategy, in terms of fundraising, and I have others on operation, on solutioning, on delivery. And I think that that's kind of what's most important to pass on to others is find your partner in crime and work closely together with them and make sure that you've got those complementing sort of skills to navigate all the challenges that inevitably will come up on a journey as a startup or a fintech.
That's right. I think the important word here is complementing. That you have to work together to achieve the same, to achieve your goal, to achieve the best results. And I suppose fundraising is for startups is a very complicated issue, complicated matter for everyone, and definitely for being a woman, it is probably double so complicated than just for a man. Although for a man, it's also very complicated. It is very important to build a trust with investors and to convince them, irrespective of your gender, actually, to convince people to invest in your company. They have to see that you are capable, that you have a right team, you have right people, and yes, it is a challenge for women, I think, but it is a challenge for everyone who has to build a startup and develop it. All right, ladies. Now I would like to ask Arianna. Work-life balance is often a concern for women, especially in demanding industries like fintech. And Arianna, how do you manage work-life balance? And what support systems do you think are necessary for women to thrive in fintech careers in terms of work-life balance?
Okay, I think this is really the question because, yes, of course, work-life balance is a big concern now. And first of all, I think the first step in this direction to find a great work-life balance is to accept that you are not perfect. So that sometimes you feel completely lost, or that sometimes you feel desperate, or that you are always so also you have the ability also sometimes to be creative and find a strange solution to. So this is the first step in this direction, because a perfect work-life balance does not exist. It is always a bit a compromise. Anyway, I think to be well organized is essential. First of all, sometimes I feel like my life is a sort of puzzle where all the pieces needs to be perfectly integrated, otherwise it's a disaster. That's not true, because everyone will survive anywhere. So it's always but anyway,
Yeah,
it's important to be well organized, and you learn how to do also thanks to the experience. Second, I think it's important to share also duties with the rest of the family. Because I cannot be responsible for everything. And so being supported also by the rest of the family, it's very important. It's very important. Then in terms of how a company can support you also in obtaining, in improving this work-life balance. So I can say that, of course, CRIF has done a lot in terms of parental support. So we had the possibility also to exploit some facilities for schools, for courses. And I also benefited from these facilities. Then another important support comes from the hybrid model, in terms of hybrid working model. So of course the possibility to work from remote in some days, because so if you want to stay at home. Of course, you work, but so your presence also is felt so you are there. You care about also being present in a family. So I think this also it's very much important to the work-life balance. Then another point which I think is very is crucial is to maintain, to keep a space, a dedicated space for you, just for you. For example, I practice yoga every day. For me, is essential, and I think this really supports me in also maintain the right approach also to things, not being too much reactive or feeling too much responsible for everything, but try to also maintain a distance also from things. This helps me a lot, and I think also it's important to keep a space, an empty space to do things that improves you, enriches you. And this helps also to maintain a to be more balanced in the relationship between work, family life, and whatever.
Yeah, it's very good insights. Actually, thank you very much for sharing with us, and definitely support of the family and support of the company. I'm very pleased to hear that in your company there is support with the children, with the studying courses, etc. That's very pleasant to hear, and I think that's the way companies should act. And of course, you're right. You have to take time for yourself as well. And indeed, realizing that you are not perfect is probably is a good start. Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. Raki, mentorship and networking play significant roles in career advancement. Yes, please. Ariana, you want to add?
No, not so important. No, I just want to highlight the fact that balance is not something that is for granted. So every day you have to redefine the balance between things.
Yes.
So is a dynamic approach to things. I think in this situation, in this specific situation, women are can be more also creative and are more familiar with this ever-changing approach to things. So I just want to highlight this.
Yes.
Being a woman in this sense, it's make it more easier.
Right. I think there is some delay in our speaking because we are connecting from all different parts of the world at the moment, and therefore there is some delay in questions or answers. Therefore, sometimes there might be some difficulties in listening and viewing, but hopefully it's still okay for our viewers. But I wanted to ask Raki now about mentorship and networking. They play significant roles in career advancement of every person. Can you perhaps share your experiences with mentorship, either as a mentor or a mentee, and how it has impacted your career?
Yep. Okay, so we'll start with the mentorship. I have been mentored when I was at HSBC. I was very lucky to be mentored by a female and a male, so I was able to get two perspectives, which was quite good. Like the lady that was mentoring me, she was quite high up in HSBC. Like again, like Ariana was saying that I need to be perfect at everything and want to like jump ahead. She was very good at like holding me back and telling me that you can calm down, you'll get to where you want. So yeah, I think some of the female mentorship I've had have been amazing. But on the other hand, I've been mentored by who's my current CEO as well. He still mentors me. He was mentoring me in well. I came and followed him because I believed in what he was doing. He also, like, he's a bit more, I guess, aggressive compared to the lady, wants to get things done. So I learned a way of calming myself down with the lady, and then also driving myself with the male mentorship. So I kind of got the balance between two, because there are, there's possibilities where you're like, this is just too much. I can't do it with all my life and my kids and work and that need to be perfect. So because I've had two different types of mentors, they've been amazing at kind of balancing as much as we can balance. The balance is different today to what it's going to be tomorrow. And as long as I'm okay with that, I think, life goes on. The other question you asked me, if I mentor someone else, I mean, I have mentored a lady at my work, and she's like great. It's really nice to see her, like her ways of learning. She's much calmer, and it's very rewarding being able to pass on some of the skills that you've learned from other people that you necessarily didn't have before, but you're able to say, well, these things helped me, and carry on going. Yeah, I could see a great change in her. And yeah, I took her with one of the networking events. She was a very shy lady. She's a bit more open, outgoing now. Yeah, it's great to see when people change, to what I think is better and what they want to do, and don't always have the guts to do it, I guess. And as for networking, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think networking and being out there and talking about your product, growing trust, because the more people know you, the more they want to know about your product, the more they'll trust you. You're not there just for a little while, you're there for the long haul. Yeah, I quite enjoy the networking part. That's my time out where I meet lots of people, learn lots of fantastic things. And I think, as Geraldine said before, some of these fintechs are fully men, and we work in like a IT area. I mean, it's a sea of men, and then you'll see your little tribe of women and go over to them. Like, we support each other. We make other, we bring other women up with us. They'll talk about us. But I'm noticing a lot more the men are doing as well. Like, I've met a few of these men in the same people over and over again in these events. And they'll be the ones that will be calling me and say, come and meet these people. We know about your product. It's a journey that you have to go on. You have to be out there, network, make sure people know you are, grow your brand, grow your, trust in your potential customers. And again, what we're doing is based around regulation, and we're there to help companies grow. We're there to stop them having barriers. So I think the industry I work in I'm very lucky, because what we've got to talk about is quite relevant right now. So yeah, these events, they're so much fun, and I learn so much from other people, what other people are doing, how they're approaching some of the difficulties in the market, and some of the successes. It's all brilliant. Where technology is today, it's fascinating. So these networking events are great places to learn.
Okay. I think it's very important what you say, that balance is important, and you have to learn from each other. And it's good to learn from women, from men, from other nationalities. I think everything empowers us when we try to get views of different people, different type of views, different countries, maybe. It all helps, and it is very important indeed to help other women, as we are women ourselves. But yeah, different views matter, and different views help. So it's very good. What your examples were very good. And in that respect, I would like to ask now Geraldine about education and skills development. It's a very important part of empowering women to succeed in fintech careers. What steps can be taken to encourage more women to pursue education and training in these fields? What do you think, Geraldine?
Well, I think it starts young, and I have two youngish kids, and I think, and I see now that what's being added into their curriculum, whether it's STEM, coding, whatever it was, I mean, this was nowhere around when I was certainly going through an education. And I think that it starts very young, which is great on one hand, but I do start to see this segregation happening again, even within that, so it's like, oh, somebody's going to go and do this type of thing. And it's quite alarming, actually, when you realize that this wasn't anyone's influence. This was just, the preferences of these young kids and which way they're going. So I certainly think it starts in our homes, it starts in our schools, it starts with our support systems and the types of activities that we're doing. Like, as I said, whether it's coding for kids, and I think some of these programs are fantastic. But I also think then, and again, and if I could take a little bit of a pivot onto sort of emerging markets, what I found here, and because I work with our team of product managers and BAs and people with an analysis skill set, which doesn't necessarily exist in the education system here. So a lot of these things just have to be learned. And my personal take on the people that I work with is, I mean, the education is good, and I obviously want to encourage it and push, but quite frankly, some of the most fantastic product and BAs that I've worked with, it's all been on the job learning. And it's through, again, their analytical way of thinking, their attention to detail, the relationships that they build with people. So I think, some of the advice that I would give to people, and obviously depending on age, is that just get out there and start doing and get access, whether it's as an intern, whether it's a mentor that you can identify with and start to learn from, but that there are a lot of different roads to get to where you may want to be in a leadership role within fintech. It doesn't necessarily have to be just one route. So, I think that practical experience and, as I said, ability to form relationships that get you the access to information and skills that you need to complete your job, that can be one of the biggest assets that you have going forward. So, several different sides on that, as I said. Over the years, it's evolved quite differently. I think certainly on the work-life balance, I can't help but want to pitch in on that as well. And I think certainly I think it was, I almost remember the day that I sort of thought, you know what, I'm not answering all the emails. I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. And I know I should, but you know what, they're going to be there on Monday morning. I'll apologize at that stage, and that's it. And because of that, I save my time for myself, for my family, for my friends, and I come back on a Monday morning much more refreshed than I would have done had I, tried to squeeze in a half an hour here, an hour here, an hour here. So I think that it is incredibly liberating to sort of be able to say, okay, look, everything isn't going to get done. Or, you know what, this isn't even at the best quality that I would really like it to be. But you know what, it's good enough for now. And sort of to really be reminded continuously of those priorities. And then, of course, there's a wonderful African saying, which is, it takes a village to raise a child. And I think that has also been incredibly liberating, because we do have all sorts of wonderful people around, and they are influences in my children's upbringing, because maybe I'm traveling or I'm busy, I'm not always there, 100% of the time at home. But I think my children are so much better off for having all of those influences. So I think everyone needs to identify their village, their support system, their networks, and realize that, that isn't a negative thing. That's a wonderfully positive part of the relationships that your kids will have and the influences on them. So, I can't help but want to just throw those 2 cents in on that topic.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a very good point. At certain moments, you have to decide to prioritize things and decide on your priorities. But I think it's a very valuable advice you have given. Just go and do it. Girls should not afraid to go and do technical studies, or they just should believe in themselves and go and do it. And yeah, for work-life balance, you have to balance it. Everybody has. So it is challenging time. It is challenging environment, but we all have to do it. Okay, Ariana, looking to the future, what changes or advancements would you like to see in the fintech industry to further promote gender equality and empower women in the sector?
Yeah, I think, as Raki said, that we are in the right direction. So I think that so we are really we have made an important step in the right direction. And effectively, when talking with my female colleagues, which are also younger than me, I don't have the impression that they feel discriminate against as women. I believe they are more afraid about the global uncertainties in the economical situation. So I believe that it's really important to work now on the economic level, ensuring not only equal opportunities, but also equal economic conditions.
Okay, that's true. That's true. And it is indeed a serious factor in our lives, and definitely for the young people, and irrespective of the gender, girls or boys, they have to start in a less assuring environment, I find. So it is, they all have to go through it, indeed. I think we are coming to the final point, or the final question of our discussion, and I would like to ask all of you, what advice would you give to young women who aspire to pursue a career in fintech and aim to make a meaningful impact in the industry? Rahim, maybe you will say something first, and then I ask other ladies as well.
I think, as you mentioned earlier, you just got to go for it. If you have an idea, and I think Ariana said it as well, like, first believing in yourself, you can do it. Go forward and just keep pursuing your dreams. You will fall down, but stand back up and keep going. That's the only thing. We've all got here. I mean, there are different challenges now to before, but they're just challenges. They're there to be overcome. Yeah, I think that just keep
all right.
going.
It's very good. Very good. Geraldine, what is your advice to young girls?
Somewhat similar, but it's about finding your passion. And I think that, I remember the stage, and I was probably working in the City of London, and yes, okay, my professional life was okay, but I wasn't passionate about it. And I think the difference of finding something that means something to you and how much that can help you overcome the challenges in the tough times, and inevitably there will be difficult times. So, but just to keep looking, that there are, within this sector, there's so many different facets and different things that you can do and how you can contribute, and to just experiment and keep moving on and checking things out and talking to people and trying different things until you find something that really resonates with you. And it is a journey. You may not get there, certainly you may not get there straight out of education, and it takes some time, but if you persevere and keep on that track, I believe everyone does find something that really resonates with them, and that can be the best asset that they can have to give direction to what they're doing and where they want to go.
For everyone, and definitely for young people, you have to really like what you are doing, and then be happier, because there are difficult moments in life, and you have to be happy in what you are doing, and work is an important part of your life. If you are not happy at work, then you are not happy in life, I think. Okay, Ariana, maybe your advice, will you add something?
I'm going to say something that apparently is in contradiction with what I said before when I said that it's important to ensure equal economic conditions. So now my advice is just to not to be fascinated only by economic growth, and really to invest in professional growth, because really the fintech sector is a very dynamic, fun, and so it gives you really also the possibility to make the difference, make a great job, feel satisfied, which is also something that it's important. So it's important to grow gradually, to mature a role, not only to be impatient, because the goal should always be the economic growth. I think that in this sector, creativity and flexibility are a very important attitudes. And so I think that considering these, women can really make the difference in this sector.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we had a very, very interesting insights and interesting advices and very valuable advices for the other ladies, and even gentlemen, I hope, will learn something, because they have to live with women around during their work, during their home life. So I hope that our sharing of experiences will help people, and will help girls to choose their profession, and not to stop them, not to be afraid to go to fintech as well. It maybe sounds very complicated, but you can have fun everywhere, even in fintech you can have fun. Yes, I would like to thank all our ladies participants for being with us today and sharing your valuable experiences. I hope that our webinar will help girls to consider pursuing career in fintech. And I would like also to congratulate all of the women today with the International Women's Day. I hope that you will enjoy your celebration, and believe in yourself, and go for your dreams always. That would be probably my advice. Just believe in yourself and go for it. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy 8th of March, and do something nice for yourself. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.